Hello everyone and welcome back to this new video about the MyAniMate features. Today we're going to take a look at the Create Character tab, and I have here a um, Second Life avatar, a regular Maya Star avatar, right? And in here I have all of the extra joints, okay? So say that for your project you don't need the extra joints um, introduced by the Bento project, and also the collision volume bones and the face and everything. You can just remove all, and everything will be removed. We can remove the individual features, like remove the spine, which I'm gonna do, and now we have only two spine joints, like in the default. I'm gonna keep the face. I'm gonna remove the tail. I'm gonna remove the wings, the hind legs, and I'm gonna keep the collision volume bones. Okay, but you can also remove those and or the fingers. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that at that and save it as it is. Okay, so I have a base scene where I have rigged my character. Everything's fine. Everything works as I want it to. Cool. So I'm ready to start taking a look at animating this thing. So it's been saved off, and I'm gonna open another Maya instance where let's remove the script editor, where I'm going to show you what this first part of the panel does, which is the import file or reference the file. Okay, so the very first thing to do is to browse to our just saved scene, and we have now the path here. And at this point, we can decide whether to import or reference. So if I import, it's going to be exactly the same file that we saved, but it's in an untitled scene, which means I haven't opened the scene. I just imported that scene into this new scene, into this new file. If I save this off, it will be a different file. Okay, there is no connection whatsoever between the two. Okay, so it's a regular import, as you might be already used to. Now, if we instead do a reference file, all right, the main difference that you can see is here, which marks things as referenced by adding an extra little diamond, I would call it a diamond, on the top left side corner of the icons, which means that this file actually does not contain that stuff. It's reading it from the other file. Now, what does that mean? It means that if we move over to our previous file, which one is it? This one here. Okay. And we make a change, for example, this, and save it. If we go back here, nothing apparently changed. But the reference file is basically something that can be reread from scratch. And for what concerns MyAniMate3, as soon as you have your character back, created with animation avatar, it will work using this button. It's a convenience button, but let's see how that feature works at the very base level. So if we go to File Reference Editor, select that reference and reload, you will see that that change that was saved onto the other file is now being reflected here. Okay. So if I move back here and, for example, I scale up this and save, which will not work for Second Life anyway, but it's just to demonstrate the point, and I try to reload it, you see that this thing is actually reflecting all of those changes. When you have a reference file, you should never change anything onto the referenced file. Because if you do, like if I grab here and scale it differently, then what will happen is that we'll get what is called a list of, here it is, list reference edits. You see, that will be applied as soon as you reopen this scene here. Okay, so that's not good to have. Any change you want to do should be done on the original file, not here. Okay, so I'm gonna select all of these lines and remove them. You see, all of my changes on the reference in here has been deleted, and therefore it goes back to what it was before. So if we go back to the original file and turn it back to how it should be, rotate to 0 and save. This is an extra Maya file. Remove that. Oopsie daisies. I did a mistake there. But anyway, it's super easy because as soon as we get MyAniMATE3 and we have the correct file listed here, reference, and it's bringing our character here. So back to normal, save, file, reference editor, and reload. My changes are now over here. Now, this is meant to give you the opportunity, within MyAniMate at least, and all of these tools with reload reference, to actually reload all of your changes in for what concerns especially the skin cluster. So it may look like while you're painting the weights that everything's fine, but then you start animating on it and you see that there isn't really a good deformation somewhere. The change should happen in the previous file, the rig file, and then you can reload the reference. Okay. It works on a per character basis, and now we are going to see why that applies. So I'm going to create the animation avatar. Okay. And now we have a completely different setup to what we were used to from the previous version of MyAniMate. So in MyAniMate 2, you did have this, but the skeleton was outside of any hierarchies and the controllers. Now everything is under a placement control. And in the avatar, you have now the animation skeleton over here. Okay. Now, if you make any change to the skin cluster, so this is deforming like this when it's going downwards, right? If you make any change to the skin cluster in the original file, that's super giant. Okay. And say we have more weight here. More. And it now deforms like this. Save. So this is for you to see things clearly. Now if we select the main character controller down there and reload reference, this now works because everything is on a per character basis. Okay, and this is what basically marks a character. Everything that is inside of the hierarchy of this controller is what makes the character. Alright, so let's go back here. I will Control Z and save. Now if I reload the reference, there we go. You see how the changes basically apply to the animation avatar very dynamically, and it allows you to keep a separate animation file and a rig file that can be updated, and those updates would reflect inside of your animation scene so that you can tailor your animation better to whatever you're doing. Could be a character, an avatar, an animesh, whatnot. It's basically there for you to update. The skin cluster is the prime example of this. In the future, there will be also other examples to see how we can leverage this feature so that the whole system, we can exploit the whole system in order to get a nice skeleton for our animesh and have that work well with the standard skeleton tools. All right, now going back to the original file here, okay, and MyAniMate, there it is. There is a little thing that I think is very nice to have, especially when you're making custom avatars. Probably the most of you is not really going to be interested in this feature, but for those who are interested, we can do a mirror kind of behavior. All right, it applies to the whole chain that you're going to select. So if I select this joint, anything that is underneath, including the collision volume bones and whatnot, down to the fingers, will have its behavior mirrored over to the other side, which will let you create different custom joint positions on one side only and have that reflected over to the other side. So I will start from the clavicle, so that's easier, and I will add the mirror constraint, which isn't actually constrained, but yeah, you get it. So I can move things, and it's mirrored, and I can also rotate if need be, right? And it's mirrored. You have just to remember that once you're done, you have to remove the mirror constraint, because those are connections that would conflict with the animation skeleton, and with the creation of a character and of a create animation avatar button function. So just remember that, because otherwise it would fail. There are already connections, and no other connections could be made. And this is a pretty strong connection, that whatever I'm doing here. All right. So yeah, let's select the hierarchy and go back to 0 rotation. And also the other side, you see now the connection is no longer there. So the mirror constraint is no longer there. It's not working anymore. Oh, I forgot the z-axis. There. So now we're back to normal. All right. Now, a final thing, which was available as a separate add-on previously, I just included that here, and is the add attachments or remove attachments. Now, the cool thing here is that this works on both this avatar at this stage. So we add the attachments, and those can be rigged and have a skeleton for them in the other file when we create the animation avatar. You can even remove. But then, what if you change your mind? Let's select things correctly here. What if you change your mind here and you want to add the attachment joints? Select there, and the attachment joints are there with the animation joints for them. So yeah, they're really, really small, and therefore might be a tiny bit difficult to get them. So what you can do is select all of the joints and have a radius for all of them. 15 is not enough. Let's do 50. There. So you have now also the animation skeleton, not only the deformation skeleton, updated with the attachment joints that are colored in red. Okay, and that's a nice feature in that regard, because this allows you to animate the attachment joint. So if you have anything attached here, you can animate it. It's not a supported feature by Lab, but you can definitely do it, and it works. So yeah, that's all for now about this tab. I hope you enjoyed it and you're excited about the new workflow and ease of use at some point in the future, as soon as you get used to it. And so, yeah, until next time, have fun, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.